Hi, and welcome everyone to the 110th episode of Seam Rocks. This is Markus Erlandsson, and hello, Heidi. What is your favorite Chuck Norris joke?
Oh, and I know this is coming from one of the connectors that I recently reviewed. My favorite Chuck Norris joke, yeah, that's a tough question. One that I like joins my love of cheesy Chuck Norris jokes and running. So let's go with Chuck Norris runs until the treadmill gets tired.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
All right, then I will actually go with the COVID got Chuck Norris. However, COVID ended up with 2 weeks of quarantine.
That's a very timely one.
Yeah. So, Heidi, before we get started here, if someone has questions for us, where can they go to find us?
Oh, what a cool question. Well, at CRM Rocks, we are expanding our social footprint. So check us out on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and we have a brand new YouTube channel, which currently has 2 subscribers, which I think are Marcus and I. But we're going to try something new and give you the video of this podcast too. So hopefully we can chat with you on all those social media avenues.
Yeah, so if you want to see the uncut version and how the sausage is made, please just go there and you will see the total thing. All right then. So today's podcast will be about learning dynamics, and with us today we have Nancy Tandy from Microsoft. Nancy
Hi.
Tandy is a senior business strategy manager at Microsoft. Nancy has 20 plus years of integrated marketing management experience, including developing marketing strategies, driving product launches, events, and large scale campaigns. She's been at Microsoft for over 15 years. Welcome, Nancy Tandy.
Thank you. Thank you. Excited to be
How are
here
you
today.
today, Nancy?
Doing good. Doing good. Very good. Thank you for having me join. I appreciate it and really excited to be here.
As a business strategy manager, what is it that you do?
So, yeah, interesting title. I'm currently the go-to market lead for business applications, which is Dynamics 365 and Power Platform for Microsoft Learn. So, my job is engagement and awareness around Microsoft Learn and the products and modalities that are within Microsoft Learn, specifically, again, for Dynamics 365 and Power Platform. So, for example, training, certifications, Cloud Skills Challenge, self-paced learning modules, open hacks, exam preps, all of that.
Nice. We're customers all the time. What's your last memorable customer experience as a customer?
I have a good story. So in November, our heater went out. And so my husband and I called around to 5 or 6 different companies. Most of them said it would be, 3 weeks before they could get out and, check out our heater and help us out. And then we finally spoke to a company called Bell Red Energy Solutions. And their salesperson came out the next day, which was happened to be a Saturday, and he was super friendly. He had state of the art equipment. He logged into his computer. He could tell exactly the number of vents we needed. It connected to supply chain. He could the customer service, the scheduling, and in that day we purchased the heater. We also purchased an air conditioning unit because I don't know if most of you know, but in Seattle, most of us don't have air conditioning and it's starting to get super hot here. And so we decided if we're going to buy a heater, let's just buy an air conditioning unit as well. And he scheduled us within the next 5 days to get all of that put together. And, like I said, he logged onto his computer. He had all of the scheduling done. He, was able to tell from the blueprint plans on our house what was needed and got it all done. It was really seamless. It was easy, just one experience. And then the people arrived to install it those next few days. And again, it was just a great customer experience end to end. They even at the end of it scheduled all the inspection work because inspectors have to come out and do the electrical inspection and all of that. And they scheduled that for us, called to remind us that it was coming. And again, just a great start to finish, great customer experience.
That sounds
Yeah,
great. Do they have an office in Pennsylvania?
I don't
Also,
know.
stories like that always make me curious because of in the space that we're in. I always ask companies, what do you use to manage all of this? Did you ask them what
You
tech
know,
stack they're using?
I did not. I did not. And it seemed like it was specialized, and I probably should have, but it seemed like it was specialized to their business. But they definitely, had it all together. So it was a great experience.
what's your learning targets for 2022?
Oh, so I am looking at Power App Maker. So when Power Apps which is under our Power Platform, we have a role called App Maker, and that's the person that you don't necessarily have to be super technical. You can be kind of tech savvy and just interested in it, and you can grow out. And it's a low code, no code development, and you can create apps. So we've had some great stories around, teachers creating apps where their students can come in and insert their homework and they get their grades done. And it just sounds like a really cool product that I want to learn.
You're speaking my language. I'm an app maker too.
Oh,
The low code,
awesome.
no code tooling in the Power Platform is awesome. And
Yeah,
Microsoft Learn has some really cool learning paths to help get you up and running with that.
they do. They do.
So if you were brand new to Dynamics or Power Platform then, and you were like a new functional consultant or a sysadmin, how would you learn Dynamics then?
So Microsoft offers a real comprehensive collection of training options that really helps empower that technical professional to learn in the style that they want to learn, in the time frame they want to learn, and it just really helps them advance their skills. So think about Microsoft Learn as a website. That's our front door. So it has self-paced learning, which are the free interactive step-by-step tutorials. They have interactive coding, hands-on labs, task-based achievements, and this really helps you, walk through whatever type of training that you want. You can do a search on it, and you can look for a specific product or a specific thing within a product that you're trying to train on, and you can find that on Learn. Then we have like events. So think about our digital first world events like Ignite and Build. These are really large scale events where you can go in and hear someone speak, and they can do some deep dive technical training for you. And often attached to these big events, we have our Cloud Skills Challenge, which is basically a time-based challenge or a learning path, these set of learning path or modules where you can go in and you have a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks to do that. And then there's a prize at the end of that. So those are really fun. We also have Microsoft Virtual Training Days. These are a virtual 1-day in-depth training on a variety of different subjects, mostly our fundamentals, and then some of our role-based as well. But these one-day events are global, so they can be recorded or they can be live, but they're a great way to kind of get that first step into learning that technical training. Then we have learning partners that do our instructor-led training. So we have a global group of learning partners that offer these training courses, and they meet your training needs, and it includes a blended style of learning. It can be in person, it can be digital. The classes are delivered with a mix of like presentation, hands-on labs, and group discussion. And it's a great way if you're a person that likes to ask questions because you're new to something, or you just need that one-on-one instruction. This is a great way to get that, because you can ask those questions from those instructors. And then finally, I would recommend, proving your skill with certification. So certifications are, a great way to advance your career, earn recognition with your peers. and just they're just industry wide recognized, and a good way to measure your knowledge base. And then in the last year, we started on Learn, a thing called Learn TV. So this is think of it as a live TV channel where we have these shows that help us do announcements. They do some deep dive technical training there. They announce products. So there's things like Hello World. We did an Ask the Expert session. We've done 2 of those around certification. One was just around certification where we had 4 panelists come on and then folks can ask questions in the chat. And then we did one on certification renewal. So really fun stuff. And then there's always Docs, which is I think of Docs as the how-to of things, and to ask those questions. But if you think about the old days when you bought a product and you had a disc and a manual, Docs is kind of that manual of getting into the real technical how to get something done.
That's a lot of good information for people getting started.
Yeah.
So all of those things that you talked about are awesome, but your responsibility with Microsoft Learn is the learning paths, the certifications, and the Learn TV, right?
So my responsibility is to make sure that our customers and our partners are engaged and aware of everything that Microsoft Learn has to offer. So all of those things kind of fall under that Learn umbrella. And my job is to make sure that if you're a customer, you're a partner, you're a functional consultant, or you're a end user, or you're a developer, to be able to make sure you understand and you're aware of all the offerings that we have at Microsoft Learn, and to make sure that you have a seamless journey to get your training done.
Nice. So I haven't heard about Learn TV before, but you said it's been there for like a year now?
I think it's been a little over a year. If I remember, we launched at Ignite, or right around Ignite time, about a year ago. So it's a little over a year and a half. And yeah, it's super cool. Like I said, they have some shows like Hello World, Code Stories, Learn Live. So Learn Live is something that we do at all of our big events like Build and Ignite. It's where we take a couple experts, like our cloud advocates. April Denham is one of them, that she does one of these, but she'll take a learning path or a module, and they do a deep dive on that learning path and module. So they'll walk you through the hands-on lab. You can ask questions as they're going along that learning path. So it's super great in the weeds technical training. And so they do those Learn Line sessions. We do them at the events, and then they bring them over and showcase them. But they also are constantly doing those for all of our products.
So it seems
That's
like a
neat.
little bit like Twitch then, like streaming and having an audience directly, and a
Yeah.
little bit like Channel 9,
Yes.
where it's more curated content.
Exactly. So for me, we've done a couple of shows over the past year where we launched some new certifications and the learning path attached to it, and the ILT course. So we had our content lead and one of our Microsoft certified trainers come in and walk through the course. It's for example, we did our Power Platform Solution Architect. And we also did our Dynamics 365 Commerce Functional Consultant. So we had those folks walk through the class, what's in the class, what to expect from the class content, and showcase some of the labs and what you would learn as a learner, what you're going to get out of taking that ILT classroom content.
It's pretty neat. I just logged on to see what's happening right now on Microsoft Learn TV. It's Visual Studio Toolbox Live.
Cool. Very cool.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So if we go there, there's like we said learning path, certification, and Learn TV. Where do you see most users coming?
I mean, it honestly depends. Most folks are coming in and they want to do two things. They want to, learn something specific, or they want to as a role. So like I'm coming in and I'm a functional consultant and I need to learn commerce 365. I'm going to go look for that full learning path and all the training that's available. Again, if you're coming in, you're like, I just need to know how to integrate something. You can go and do a search on Learn and figure out, hey, I need to learn how to integrate sales. So you can do two specific things. So we see, folks doing a lot of both. And then when you come in to Learn on that first main page, that landing page, it will show you, if you scroll down a little bit, it showcases what the most popular learning paths are of that day. So it kind of curates all those. So a lot of times you'll see Azure, which is super popular. And you might see like Dataverse. That's another popular one for the Power Platform. Or you might even see something around sales, Dynamics 365 sales, like, getting started with sales or getting started with marketing. But yeah, we see folks coming in many different ways and looking for different things, but a lot of it is looking for some specific type of training.
So do you see more users on a little bit more basic functionality rather than perhaps a little bit more advanced then?
No, I think we have, we have fundamentals. So we have folks that are coming in that might be a BDM, might be a business decision maker, or, someone like me that's a marketing person. And I just want to, look at the features and functionalities of a product. We have that type of fundamentals training, that beginning. And then we have the role-based, which has the associate and the expert level. So that's where you get your developers and your solution architects. So those folks, that really want to learn how to like implement something or design something, we have that more advanced technical training as well. So we see all kinds. It really depends on, what you need out of the training.
Markus, I think that means we're experts in advanced. And you're right. So I think it's really neat that you can come to the learning website and see what the most popular are at any given time. There's a lot of beginner courses that are popping up today, and you're exactly right. Azure and Power Platform.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Now, there's another section on there that says our current favorites. Are those the ones they want people to start learning about that aren't technically popular? Or that's where you're paying all your, like, you have all your marketing driving people to?
Could be, definitely could be. So yeah. And, we do, we have a Twitter handle and we have LinkedIn where, I personally do a blog each month for Power Platform and Dynamics 365, where I talk about each of the new learning paths or modules that was launched the previous month. So if you go to our blog on the tech community for Microsoft Learn, you can see the latest and greatest, what's new, what's just been launched as far as these different modules. So I do this kind of, collective look back each month. So it's super interesting. But yeah, we also we know that certain folks that might be a developer or certain folks that might be a functional consultant are looking for something specific around that role. So we often try to surface that with Twitter and LinkedIn to make sure they understand, hey, this is the topic that you need to get in here and learn and do that implementation.
So if we were to look at like Dynamics and Power Platform there, how much content would you say is launched or new like each month?
So I'd have to go back. I don't know that I've ever looked and said, oh, we're averaging this, but I would say there's anywhere from 10 to 15 new modules launched per month. And that could be a little high. Some months it's been a little bit more, some months a little bit less, but I think 10 is probably a good number. But there's a lot of content. I'm trying to think. I have a slide, and I think it's something like 263, or maybe it's even more than that, Dynamics modules, wow. And even greater number of Power Platform ones too. I mean, there's just a ton of content. So you can pretty much come to Learn or Docs, either or, and find what you need when you have a question or some kind of training that you need. It's there.
then that comprises all of the dynamics. So even Business Central, Finance and Operation,
Yep.
Product Insights, every of those is
Yes.
like Marketing Cloud and the Industry Clouds also part of that sphere.
Um, I'm sure you can find content there. I'm not an expert on that content because am more around the Dynamics and Power Platform. But there is a lot of content on our cloud, and there's a lot of content. If you're just wanting to like understand what the cloud is and how to think about the cloud, there's that content as well.
Yeah, I just thought about it because the new release plans, they were including Dynamics 365 and Industry Clouds. And I was like, what did they mean? And then I had to scroll down and like, oh yeah, those that I
Yeah.
don't know very much about.
Yes, and I do know. So we are starting to create a bunch of content around those clouds. So like healthcare, which would include some of the Dynamics 365. So I do know those are starting to come out, and I have seen a few of those learning paths too. So there is. I don't know if there's as much content for industry right now, but I know they're working on it, and there's going to be a lot coming out really soon. And I also think if you think about how fast technology is changing, we update our certifications every couple months to make sure that we're staying on top of, the changes in technology. So when you think about like getting a certification and it lasts a year, at the end of that year, you can come back to Microsoft Learn and log into your certification dashboard, and you can renew your certification without having to take and sit for the full test. It's free. It's online. There's a learning path that's specific for that certification renewal. And it basically, you think about it, it's the delta. It's what the change in the content or what's new in the content from when you took that exam. And so there's a learning path all for you. And then you go and you take that assessment. And if you pass that assessment, then you have renewed your certification for another year. So we really try hard around the content as well as our certifications to make sure that we're staying up with the ever fast changing technology that happens.
They sure keep you on your toes for that. I appreciate that new ability to just log in, take a learning path, and renew your certification. As somebody who holds a few, that's
Oh, good.
much preferred over sitting for the whole exam all over again. So
Yeah.
thanks for that.
What certifications do you hold?
I have all of the Power Platform ones, the PL 100, 200, 400, and I have a few of the Dynamics ones as well that have been sunset, but I still have them. They're still valid.
That's fantastic. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
Very
think it's
impressive.
yeah, I think it's pretty easy. Have you actually done a certification renewal?
Not yet. I will this
Okay.
year.
Good, good. Yeah. Yeah. So again, I think it's free. It's online. It's supposed to be very very easy to do. You just log in to your certification dashboard and
Mhm.
it will tell you. You also get a notification by email 6 months before your certification expires. So you can log in and
Start studying.
you can start studying, you can start going through the learning path way ahead of the time. And, if you don't pass the assessment, you can take it again and take it again until you get it passed. So,
Very nice.
I've done one of those for customer service and for sales, and I think it's really good because then you don't just take it once, and then you sort of don't work with that specific area of sales, and then you kind of forget about it, and then you have to retake the exam, and then you're like, oh yeah, about that one over there. So it's really good to sort of keep because it's so wide each and every of these dynamics area, so it's really good to have those reminders that yes, there are new things here and don't forget about this and this. So I actually think it's pretty good that you have this option to renew every year, and it's not those you have to pay and go to a cert place or take it at home
Mhm.
with your cam. It's a little bit more relaxed, but still you have to go there and show that you actually care.
exactly, exactly. You're right. Yeah, you're not sitting through, you're not going to a Pearson VUE. You're not going to the place and having to go through and sit for the exam again. It's at your pace. It's at your time. You can just walk through the learning path. It's free. Again, it's an assessment. It's all online, and then you just pass it.
Yeah. I I I had to retake some of the learning path because I didn't take it on the first fastest one. So it was like, oh, customer insights. Oh shoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
one that
really
changes a
nice.
lot too.
Yeah. Yep. It
You
does.
know, I like one of my favorite things in Microsoft Learn when I'm trying to brush up or I'm seeing if I'm still fresh with my skill set, I'll skip ahead to the quiz at the end and just like
Hmm.
see where I fall. Like, do I remember this stuff or do I not? I like that, and I've told a lot of people that are studying for exams to go there, check out the learning paths in the exam certification course that you're studying for. Try that quiz. If you pass it, keep going on. If not, go back and learn all that fun stuff. And it's awesome. I
Yeah.
think it's great content that you guys put out there.
Thank you. And I think too, it's, there's a little green flag on each page that once you finish that page, it turns green. And so it
Mm-hmm.
saves your place. So, we all know we're all super busy. We're multitasking. We're doing many things. So you can come and you can read, 2 or 3 pages. And then if you have to stop and you have to go to a meeting or you have to take your kids to soccer, it saves your place. You can come back and pick up where you left off. I love that feature myself. I think it's
Yeah,
super
and
great.
you have gamification there for people that like that too. You get all your little
Yes,
points. I don't know
exactly.
what you do with
Yeah.
those points, but you get points.
Well, you get badges. Yes, totally. You get
Ah,
badges and different, yeah, badging. It's pretty cool.
nice.
So what would you say is your favorite learning path then, Nancy?
Oh goodness. I like the fundamentals learning path. The dynamics ones are great. I haven't done the F&O one. That's also on my list to do this year. But the customer engagement dynamics fundamentals path is very cool. It's a great overview of the features and functionality of that. And then I also like the Power Platform one too. Like I said, I'm really excited about App Maker, so I'm kind of in feeling a little geeky about that section and really want to learn more there. But for someone who I'm a marketing person, I'm not super technical as far as that goes, and so to come in and be able to take those learning paths and learn has been great. And then I go in and I do a search when someone's talking about something technical and I need to understand it. I go in to learn and I do a search and it pulls it up and it will tell me, hey, this is what this is, and which is great. And I've learned so much doing that in the last couple of years.
I like all the labs that are in the Power Platform ones too, especially the fundamentals. They really encourage you to get your hands in there, spin up your demo environment, and start building these apps. And let's walk you through how to
Absolutely.
make a Canvas app instead of just showing you the step by step. Like you said before, you're reaching all the learning styles then. You're not just getting the people that learn through reading and writing, you're getting those hands on kinesthetic learners. You need to get in there and play with it a little bit
Absolutely.
first.
Yep, absolutely. Our hands-on labs are great, and I think it's really helpful for someone that is wanting to figure out how to get it done, and the hands-on labs helps you, and then you can get back to that application and go back and just start creating because you've had that experience. So it's very helpful.
Yeah. Going back to the list, I actually noticed that I don't think I heard you talk about like app in the day or those kind of customer and partner focused training days. Are they part of these as well?
App in a Day is actually delivered by our stores, our Microsoft stores. So, we try to connect the dots on all the training. And so, we do talk about that. I mention it in some of my marketing assets that I create. But it's actually delivered by the Microsoft stores. So, and then the partner team, the partner world, they do a lot of their own deliveries to the partners as well. So that's done by those teams, but we do try to make sure things are connected and partners and customers know about all of those different trainings because there's just lots of opportunity and it's a big company.
Yeah, Microsoft is a big company, yes. Yeah, because I like those hands-on where you like, okay, you have this set of things that you're set to do. go through it, and then you come there and ask questions to someone who's knowledgeable about it
Yep.
and get specifics like, well, I have this lookup, what do I do? Yeah.
Yeah, our Microsoft stores has a lot of that great hands-on training as well, and they go across not only Power Platform, but you think about Teams, all of the Office platform is on there. I'm sure there's a little bit of Azure as well, so you can go to Microsoft stores and check out all the great training they have as well.
All right. And Microsoft have these Dynamics 365 communities and Power Platform communities. Um, how do they fit in the user groups?
So the Dynamics 365 community has been around for, I think, around 14 years or so. The Power BI one started about 6 years ago, and the rest of Power Platform around 5 years ago. So these are great communities. The community members had wanted additional support for their user groups. For like the infrastructure, speaker support, having that access to the Microsoft employees and those experts. And so I think they've began in the last year during COVID, so maybe the last 2 years of investing in this area and having those user groups being pulled in. So they have that better experience on the Power Platform and Dynamics 365 side. So they're about 400 user groups that they've onboarded so far. And they're launching a program with Microsoft field members to make sure that they're connected with the user groups in their local area so that everyone gets the benefit of the community, the user groups, and having that connection to those experts.
So communities is more like the online version, and the user groups is a little bit more local. Is that how it's sort of?
Well, the user groups started out locally, so they were, run by, MVPs or local folks that, wanted to get people in their community involved in Dynamics and learn and help each other. And so, think of the user groups as little local groups. In fact, I've done some presentations to some of the user groups. We did one recently to a Minnesota group, and super great walk through like certifications and training and learn. So they, like I said, they're pulling those user groups into the community so that they have the advantage of all that the community offers as well. So that tie into the experts, the infrastructure, speaker support. There's all the great content that's there. They have a blog, they do webinars. So there's a lot of great content for those folks now too.
I'm a user group leader, so I'm going to try to get you at our user group meeting
Oh,
if
be
you
happy
want to
to.
come to Philly. What I've noticed, though, obviously since COVID, everything changed. We were always hyper local, greater Philadelphia area of Pennsylvania. We had regular members, still do, but our footprint has really taken off with COVID time and transitioning all of our in-person meetings to online. We do everything through Teams, and we were one of the first to move over to the new Microsoft communities. We're in the Power Platform user group community. And yeah, it's been really nice. It's allowed us to attract different people than were already part of our user group. So it's been fun so far.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I think, during this COVID period, I think folks had time on their hands because they weren't traveling on vacation. They weren't, going out to barbecues. And so a lot of folks have sat down and said, I'm going to learn something. I'm going to expand my knowledge. And, we've seen so many more people coming to learn. We've had just phenomenal growth in our learn and our certification. So it's been fun to see all these folks, come in and, get trained, get certified, and, really expand their knowledge base.
Yeah. And I think COVID's interesting because it forced us all to go virtual, which, I don't know that we all wanted to for a lot of these things, but it did eliminate the amount of time you had to dedicate to something like this. Anything from your user group meeting, I'd have to personally drive an hour to get to the meeting, have our half day meeting, and an hour back. So I'd have to take like a full day out of the office just about by the time everything was said and done. Same
Yeah.
with taking a certification exam. I would have to drive to an approved Pearson VUE location, which might be an hour or more from where I live, sit for what, up 3, 4, 2 hours if you really know your stuff, and then drive all the way back. So you're taking half day to maybe even a full day off just to go sit for a certification exam. And you've made them a lot more accessible now. So it's
Yeah.
really interesting to hear you say you've seen more people do it. I wonder how much of a role COVID days had to do with that.
I think it's had a huge role in it, and I think it forced us as a company, and well as like you say, Pearson VUE and all these companies to adapt and adjust. And Pearson VUE had a very limited proctored exams before COVID, and now they have a phenomenal experience with their proctor exams, and they do a great job. Getting people in and getting them through the exam. So it's been great to see all of the technology and how fast it's grown and changed, and it's allowed people that were remote to feel like they're really more a part of the team, I think. So because when everybody going remote, you've had to adapt and change how you think about connecting with your employees and connecting with your teammates. So uh, it's been an interesting 2 years for sure.
Got a bit of an error here in Zencaster that says that it says I'm running out of disk, but I definitely are not. So I'm not sure if I should just ignore it and hopefully it keeps recording. But yeah, let's just keep going. Um, anyway, so I've experienced some that are a little bit less prone to go to these virtual learning events because they're sort of facing screen fatigue because they're always, I mean, always watching someone in the cam or being watched in the camera or watching someone, and there's not enough like human one-to-one interaction. So I've seen that happen as well. Perhaps not early on, but like 6 months in, people are just not another Teams meeting. I can call you and go for a walk, but not through the screen.
Was there a question or was that just a comment?
No, yeah. Have you experienced that as well?
Oh, I mean, personally, yeah, I'm definitely over COVID. I would love to be back in the office, and I'm hoping that that happens within the next couple months. Um, we're still not there yet. I think certain people are allowed to go into the office, but I'm ready for that human contact. I'm ready to go back to events and talk with customers and do live presentations. So absolutely, I hear you.
Oh, here, here. I completely agree. I'm going to my first live event in
Oh,
April, and I can't wait. I'm going to have to hold back and not hug everybody I see.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just looking forward just getting back to the office regularly. So that will be a huge thing for me. If we look at like docs and learning, they're sort of in the same place, but they're kind of different. So what would you say is the difference between docs, learn, and learning then?
So I think of docs as, again, that manual, but it has a lot more stuff like sample code, how to guides, implementation frameworks that were created by engineering people. Um, it's got support, so that technical support engineer can help you there, and they have those scenarios. So I think there's really more of that high quality technical uh, documentation, so to speak, with scenarios that help you problem solve. Whereas learn is that step by step, bite-sized tutorial modules, and that you walk through, and it's a learning path. So I think of that as the difference. Hopefully that made sense. But yeah, they're very similar, but yet a lot different.
They complement one another very
Yes,
nicely. It's
absolutely.
almost like, I guess if I think about when I use the two separately, if I'm learning a new technology, I'll go check out a learning path first. If I'm troubleshooting an existing system and I'm looking for something super hyper specific and I know where it is, I'll go to docs most
Yeah,
likely. I don't know
yeah.
if that's how you intended to, but that's how I use the difference.
I think that's spot on. I agree. I think you go to get that technical support, the support to troubleshoot, like you said. I think there's all kinds of different scenarios that help you problem solve. So absolutely, that's how I see docs, and so much more. I think, like I said, there's sample codes, open source documentation.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much written by developers and engineers that demonstrate best practices. So again, I look at it as the old manual is they've taken that and exploded it and blown it up and improved on it.
And it's also probably worth noting that you keep repeating that it's the engineers and the product people and it's marketing people on your team. So you're speaking a different language to different audiences too.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
All right. So what's new and upcoming in Microsoft Learn then?
Xbox.
Oh.
Just kidding.
Yep, there's a lot of chatter around Xbox, that's for sure. Um, we are announcing things all the time. In January, we announced a new certification called Dynamics 365 Customer Data Platform. So that's really about our customer insights role. So we have new certifications like that coming out. So that's in beta right now, and then it should go to GA in probably the end of March, sometime in April. So I don't know if you want me to talk a little bit about what beta is versus GA, but I could walk through that too if you want me to.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so really quickly, so when you think about a new exam, similar to a product, we have to do a beta period and test it out. So we want to make sure that when we ask you those 40 questions, that they're great quality questions. So, if everyone, we have a group of people that take that exam and we give them a discount to do it. And then if we saw that every single person, missed question number 20 or a good majority of them, then we realize, maybe that question wasn't written correctly. And so it allows us then to go back and correct anything or make sure that everything is just fine tuned. And then when we release it live, the exam is spot on. And so that's what we call our beta period. So we release new certifications or we release the exam in a beta period. And then we give those folks an opportunity to take that at a discount. We analyze that. We have a psychometrician who does all this great analysis and make sure the exam is spot on. And then we release it to live so that when those folks in that GA period come in and they take that exam, it's a well thought out exam.
I've had a tiny role in part of the beta process. And what I think is really neat is that all of the feedback that you solicit from the people who sit for that exam is absolutely looked at and analyzed. And
It is.
it's really neat. I've been on the other side where I've been helping to analyze the feedback from the people who sat for the exam to try to figure out, well, what needs to change? Do we need to change the wording of the question? Do we need to change the options? Is there something we got wrong? And then make changes to the exam before it goes for everybody. And I think that's awesome. I didn't realize as an exam taker how important my feedback was and
Yeah.
how well analyzed, how thoroughly it was looked at and considered by a whole team that I didn't even know existed. Very neat.
Absolutely. And that's so cool that you've gotten to do that. So I'm thrilled for you because I think it's a great experience. And you're right. During that beta period and we actually take you anytime you take an exam, you can give feedback on certain questions.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that it was, the wording was off or something didn't sound right, you can give feedback. And we look at all of our customer feedback. So it's very, very important for us to make sure that, we're doing it correctly.
Yeah, I also try to give feedback even if it's not in beta. I still always try to, okay, this was a little bit, I didn't understand it. So always try to write something if I don't understand it, perhaps more people don't.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
going back to your
Absolutely.
question, if you join our LinkedIn and our Twitter handle, that's where and our Microsoft technical blog on our Microsoft Learn blog on our Microsoft Tech, we do all of our announcements about what's coming out and what's new through the blog, and then we amplify it all through Twitter and LinkedIn. So if you subscribe to those and you follow us on those, then you'll always have the latest and greatest information that's needed.
And how can people find the beta exams? Is that also where they would find what's available and how to get that discount? Because I know some people pay out of pocket, and that can be a big incentive to sit for those beta exams.
Yes, we post a beta blog, and they're all done by Liberty Munson, who is our psychometrician. We put a blog out the day that goes to beta. So normally, what happens is about a month before the beta, myself and my team members will do an announcement blog, and we'll tell you that, hey, we've got a new certification coming and the exam is coming, and watch for that beta. And then anywhere, between 4 to 6, 8 weeks later, you'll see a beta blog. And then that beta blog gives you the codes that you need to go and register. It'll also give you the learning path. So you can, like maybe it's something that you're somewhat familiar with, but not completely familiar with, and you want to study before you go take that exam. So you get the code, you go register, and you can pick a date like 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out. And it'll give you the learning path and some other things that you can go do. Sometimes, depending on what the content is, we might have one of our Microsoft certified trainers that has a YouTube channel that's talked about the content. You might have to go get a trial. Like maybe it's a customer insights trial that you should download. We might also send you to the release notes to kind of go and get familiar with the product, but we'll give you that learning path. So you can walk through that learning path on Learn and be prepared when you go into that beta. But yeah, you're right. It's a great discount. It's 80% off. So for those folks that, are counting every dime and nickel, which we all are, it's a great opportunity for them to get certified at a much cheaper rate.
Yeah, that's an awesome tip. Everyone who's listening, go follow the blog.
And it's
if you want to
oh, sorry, I was just going to say it's aka.mswac Microsoft Learn blog. So
Awesome.
and it's Dynamics, it's Power Platform, but it's also Azure, it's also modern work and security. So all of our solution areas, we all have information. And then, anything that's new on Learn, we'll do a blog about new features and functionality and things that are going on, as well as, any new information on certifications or certification renewal, or we also do tips and tricks on, how to study and how to prepare for exams. So there's all kinds of great information on that blog.
Nice. So, if one have suggestions like questions to add to exam, is there like a way to contribute to that? Like not like open source, but help out if you have suggestions.
Well, if you're taking the exam, that's the time to make your comments within that process. But if we also have support on docs, as well as when you go into certification dashboard, you can find the support link. So if you have questions or comments, you can also send it to our support.
All right. So, if I want to know more about Dynamics and Learn in particular, where do I go then?
So start with going to the Microsoft Learn blog, and then that will get you all the latest and greatest information. And then head over to Learn and start, do a search. There's a couple of pages in the navigation that say Dynamics 365 or Power Platform, and you can start there. They give you a great collection. Those are the pages where it'll tell you here's the most popular learning paths, And they also do some recommendations too to like get you started. You can also, sorry, one more thing. You can also go if you're, in a specific role and you're wanting to get trained as a developer, a solution architect, maybe a functional consultant, you can also go to the certification landing page, and that certification landing page will give you, the object domain, which is the skills outline, what's on the exam. So you can look at that document and it'll tell you, 15% is going to cover X, 15% is going to cover Y. So you can read through that document. It's got the learning path on it as well. And then it's got a link to our learning partners. So you can go and register for a class if that's the way you want to go.
All right. So if we want to hear more about you, do you have any public speaking scheduled?
I'm hoping to do something at Build. We're waiting to hear information on that. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be speaking at Build. And right now that's it. But you can always follow me on Twitter at NJ Tandy, and the same as LinkedIn. It's Nancy Tandy there. So if you want to connect with me, happy to do that. I love connecting with people, and you can follow me and get the most information that you need.
All right. Who would you recommend as a future guest on this podcast?
I think because we had the question around communities that Heather Newman would be a great person for you to talk to. So she leads our Power Platform and Dynamics 365 communities. So I think, and she's super involved in all kinds of events. She's a great lady, and I think she would be a fabulous person for you to talk to.
All right, then. So everyone go to the blog, ak.ms/Microsoft Learn blog, or follow you on Twitter or LinkedIn. All right, then. And thanks to your listening. And don't forget that you can subscribe. Just search for CRM Rocks in your favorite podcast player, or look us up on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. Twitter? No. Do we have a Twitter, Heidi?
We're going to add one if we don't.
Or LinkedIn, then. All right, then. See you next time on CRM Rocks. Let's